This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting of the Easthampton Historical Commission on June 13th, 2023. First order of business would be public speak. If there's anybody has anything.
Are you public speaking or just waiting
Am I public speaker or am I?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I am going to table the approval of the minutes because neither one of the members were here until next meeting. All right, just 65.
Yes.
Do you want to skip ahead? And
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
So 65 Luffield Street, potential demolition.
Yes, my name is Greg Hawes and I live in Florence, not far from here. And I am seeking to build a new house at the site, 65 Luffield Street. It's got a two-story, single-family, built in 1890 on it right now, and I'm looking to see if the commission could make a determination on it prior to demolition. And I have some pictures and photos, if that's helpful.
You guys have them at all? I already have them.
I don't have it printed. I looked on the documents shared, so thank you.
Jamie.
Thank you. The chair.
He said.
You've got it.
Okay, 65 Luffield Street.
The picturs are, it's overgrown, so it's hard to see the house there. My friend did find a picture, must be from years ago, that shows it a little better. I think even before Lovefield was redone, so I don't know the year on it, but.
so has it been vacant for years?
Nope.
So
Yeah,
It's been vacant since February when the owner fell and was hospitalized.
Anybody else want to?
Now she's selling.
it looks like she's not been able to keep up with maintenance for a while.
take a look at this.
77.
Yeah, it's been going for a while.
Yeah, I never even realized it. I drive by
Can't really see
regularly.
it. If you don't know it's there, you might not know it's
Yeah, I mean,
there.
this, I'm not sure what year this is, but it wasn't too bad at that point.
No.
I remember seeing her out there every now and then, and then all of a sudden, the place, just everything started.
Yeah.
Great place.
Unfortunately. So, it's, I can see the outbuildings are definitely,
That's true.
Teresa.
well, I mean, to start off, I would say because of the age, you definitely have to look at property. I mean, it's not inventory at all. It's been kind of bypassed. Is it, can we confirm it's like 130 years old, or is that just?
There was no date on any records I could see, well, except for the,
Yeah, here it
on
says.
the town
I
record.
mean, it doesn't look like a, it's not a very good picture, but it doesn't look like an 1897. I mean, I suppose it could be.
The window's going all the way up to the cornice line there.
This picture right here, you can see better.
I did get in to see the rafters and the roof, and it looks like maybe originally it was a salt box with a lower ridge.
Okay.
and then maybe they added on in the back.
I've never really taken a good look
Right,
at the place.
thank you.
To tell you the truth,
What's that?
I've never really taken a good look at the place. It's just what you can see from the street.
Right.
Back when it was clear and
Is this photograph here the outbuilding, or is that the actual house?
That is the rear of the house, yeah. So, yeah,
Is that tree growth from inside or outside?
outside.
Okay.
No
Growing
trees
up
inside
against the
yet.
house.
There's no trees inside, but
Okay.
that could happen.
Sure.
Yeah, a few of those pictures, one is of the garage that's on the property, and 3 are of the shed.
Both roofs have.
So for other background on this, Greg is applied to the ZBA to get a special permit to modify or change a pre-existing non-conforming residential structure because it's non-conforming to setbacks, correct?
Right.
And
And also zoning, it's industrial zone. Yeah.
So I assume that the intent was to get a special permit to reconstruct or knock down and reconstruct, and then assuming the board approved that special permit, the intent was then to apply for the demolition permit.
Yes.
And then once the application of demolition permit, it would come to the historical commission for that review. But
Oh, after he applies for the demolition permit?
yeah, so the demolition permit's what triggers the review.
Yeah.
And it's a two-step review process. So the first step is essentially determining whether or not it's even historically significant enough to warrant a full demolition delay hearing. And then if it is historically significant enough to warrant a full demolition delay hearing, then you go into the full hearing. And I think Greg was looking as you haven't bought the property yet, or you have?
No, we have an offer, and that's accepted contingent on permits being approved.
Right. So I think to kind of shortcut that process, they were looking to see if the determination of historic significance could happen before they apply for the demolition permit.
Right.
And that would at least give them some guidance as to whether or not they're going to need to go through a 6-month or a longer demo delay process.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, looking at the condition here, it's hard to say just from the pictures, but I think, we should probably take a look at the property, site visit and whatnot, set that up sometime. Do a little more research into exactly how old. Like I said, it's not an inventory property. I'm kind of surprised it was skipped because along that stretch of love field, everything on that side of the street up to the river is basically done.
Yeah, there was only, I think on Lovefield, when I was looking in the macros database, there was only 1 or 2 properties that had been inventoried.
Well, the farther down, where what you almost consider O'Neill Street, which is actually Lovefield, before it turns to where it continues on the old road, there's like 5 houses maybe that are inventoried. They're like in the 20s.
Edward Dyer's old place.
There's Thomas Lynn is, I think it's 11 and 13, something like that. And I think there's maybe 2 or 3 others. And then 80 something, which is the farmhouse that's from after it turns by the bike path.
On the
And
map,
that's it.
I counted, it looks like there's 8 residential properties as you head back towards town.
Right, yeah.
And one of them, the next door neighbor is Mike LaValle. And
Right,
then there's
yeah.
a couple commercial buildings, garages, and then
And,
6 or
the
7
gray,
other-
the gray house, and then, but the ones just past that, there's
Yeah.
a few of them that are inventory.
that's for historical significance? Or just to
yeah.
keep an eye on them kind of thing?
Yeah,
Okay, because of their age and stuff?
right. I mean, when they were doing those were probably inventoried in the 90s, so they would have been built, pre-1940.
Oh, okay. So anything 50 years or greater, you try to get out of
Right,
inventory
yeah.
just to keep it? Okay.
I mean, it's one of those processes that doesn't happen all the time, and it costs some money to do it, and now you need people that have the expertise. So,
11 to 13, 15, 19, 21, and then 82.
right, so that's
So
5,
it's-
right?
Yeah, so it's, for whatever reason, it's 65.
Yeah, it was kind of, like I said, I was kind of surprised that if it was that old that they would, pass it by.
Now, if you guys do a site visit, do you need to go inside or just the property?
Usually
It all-
inside.
It all
Usually
depends.
inside?
Well, yeah, I mean, unless it's,
The previous owner has a lot of personal,
Oh.
possessions.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but also, I would have to be there. is all.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
We would just,
certainly.
Okay.
go on our own.
Otherwise, it's not pretty.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well,
I get it.
seen a few.
but you've been in the house.
And still go in to get things.
Okay, look. Is there a basement? Is there an attic?
There's basement.
The structure of the building's in what kind of condition?
Rough. And they're older beams of the air in the basement. The stairway, the rise and run is steep. And the chimney is in bad shape. I don't know if it had a fire or creosote, but it's deteriorated. It's a central chimney.
It's leaking. The water.
When is the zoning board going to hear this?
Zoning Board of Appeals is,
28.
28? Yeah.
did you get an email forwarded from Jeff about the request for comments on that?
Didn't see it. I got a couple, or I got at least one with some determinations. Whatnot.
Yeah, it would have done about the same time.
Okay. Actually, I think I did, but it didn't really, everything was similar, so I didn't
Yeah.
pay too close attention. Okay, so he's looking for comments.
No, I mean, it just goes to all different
Right,
boards
yeah,
and committees.
yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's where I got
Yeah.
all this.
So that's, and I had forwarded you
Right.
what Greg had sent to you.
Right. Yeah, at this point, like I said, I think, it's best to kind of get out there and take a look at it. Unfortunately, not everybody's here, so it's hard to set up a time. What's good, evenings good for you typically?
I'm
or-
retired, so you guys pick a time and I'll be able to go.
Okay. How about you guys? You're not retired anymore.
Let's see.
I know there's a long weekend for me. I know not
Yeah, well,
everybody
we-
has Juneteenth off, but we do, so.
I do.
I think I have.
John's probably, well, may not, he might be off. I mean, how about if we get your contact information and we can actually put it right on there, that'd be perfect. And I can get a hold of everybody and then set up a date.
Juneteenth, that's the 19th.
Yeah.
Email
Wednesday.
probably better.
Either, whichever is easier for you guys. Give me all of it.
So, yeah, sometimes it's,
Yeah.
6,
That's
Connecticut.
it's 6 hours
Yeah.
per month.
Connecticut.
Connecticut, I know it's one of the other.
Yeah.
The other one's 806. right?
860.
This
It's
is
Connecticut.
Connecticut, yeah.
What are you, 203?
No, 860.
Okay.
No, Vermont is like
8:02.
802.
Two.
Okay.
Who's on first?
All right, so yeah, I mean, we can, that was kind of a starting point, well, this is a starting point, but, we'll get everybody together down there, and hopefully
We can do it soon.
before the
That would help you all.
zoning
Yeah.
board meets. And
Yeah.
we'll definitely take a look at it.
Great, thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add?
So the next meeting,
Huh?
you would need to, the next meeting would be when the determination's made?
We could do that.
Is that,
Huh?
because typically, I mean, if you wouldn't make the determination at the site
No,
visit,
no, we'd have to, yeah,
So July.
so that'd be the July meeting.
which would be 10th maybe? 9th, 10th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12th.
I'll be on vacation that day.
Oh, perfect. We can change it for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think
Well,
I'll be
I'm
here.
actually on vacation that week and the next week.
Yeah, we will, so do it,
So earlier July.
do it on the 5th.
Sure. Can you?
We could move it up to the 5th.
July 5th?
Yeah.
That should work. I don't think I have anything going on then.
That's a Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah, it should be, right?
6:30?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we got rid of that off the agenda.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both. We'll hopefully see you very soon. All
Sounds good.
right, thank you.
We'll clean it up before you get there.
No need, no need. No worries.
Believe me, we've
Not
seen,
even by July.
we've seen some places.
Yes, we have.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so. Make sure that stays with us. Okay. Demo delay bylaw?
Yep.
You want to, well, these people haven't heard all the revisions and whatnot.
Well, I sent out the sort of final version of it, so hopefully people had a chance to look through it. And I think the intent was to get a vote today to bring it to city council.
Yeah.
But if people haven't had a chance to
Do
look at
you
it,
want to put that off until July also?
I mean,
It's not really going to make that much difference, right?
I don't think city council's gonna act on it very quickly, but if we can get it to them, let's say the
13.
13th, so it's their next.
Meet next week? Or they only meet once in the summer?
Yeah, so they would meet on the 21st.
Okay.
They're having a meeting, so if we got it to them on the 21st, then they would be able to maybe send it to subcommittee, probably wouldn't do much over the summer. It doesn't matter one way or the other, but
Well, somebody's been how many years now?
yeah, but if it's ready and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with it.
I am too.
Like I said, if everybody, can we have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to go with our proposed revision of the demo delay, Article 2. Oh, wait, Article 2 or Article? Yeah, Article 2. And send it on.
Send to city council?
Yes.
Do we have a second on the motion? to
Second.
City council. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
and thank you. Jamie.
Unanimous, okay, send it along, Jamie.
Okay, so I will send it to Barbara for Thursday, and then it'll get to ordinance subcommittee.
Great, thank you.
Assuming that, and then I'll try to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to ordinance subcommittee, folks can go there. I don't know, sometimes they add things to their agenda, but then they don't actually plan to deal with it.
Mhm.
So
Kind of like us?
Yeah, kind of, like this, kind of, yeah, exactly.
Well, it's good to have stuff on there that, in case it does come up. Yeah, that's fine. We had no other correspondence, right?
Well, actually, so I had a few things that came up.
Oh, okay.
So this was the so this was the submission to Mass Historic for the Stonehouse building and
Oh,
I think just for the Stonehouse building, but not for the cemetery. So I wanted to add that to the Historical Commission files. I think they have subsequently written back saying that they didn't find it was sufficient for a National Register nomination, but that is the new inventory.
okay.
We received the 2022 State Register Historic Places, which is going to be written down in the
Okay.
file as well.
Yep.
And this is the entire final report for the canal project.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that's exciting.
In hard copy, as well as the inventory form, which I'm just going to put down in the records as well. So if you want to take a look at that, you can file those things away eventually.
Okay.
I assume that no one wanted to look through the state register.
What's that?
I assume that no one was really interested in looking through
It's okay.
Well, doesn't change much. Hasn't gotten any thicker in the last few years. So.
No, and we haven't added anything,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, it's good to look every once in a while. It's just interesting. But,
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of those places now.
Have you?
Yeah, well, my friend, because of the pandemic, decided he was going to, wanted to visit all the places on the National Register in the area. So last Sunday, we were actually up in Coleraine, of all places.
Never would have guessed they had a national register.
Yeah, I think they had two sites, like the downtown is a district,
Yeah.
and there's a covered bridge.
Okay.
Very underwhelming,
Yeah.
but interesting nonetheless. And we ended up in Vermont, so. But we've been to some, strange places, interesting places.
That makes for some cool field trips, so that's good.
Yeah,
Got a couple national register places right here,
right here.
right up the street.
Oh, yeah, did those first.
And I think, our downtown might be a little underwhelming if you're looking for intent.
I'm not sure exactly where he started, but Springfield probably, because he was working at the Hall of Fame, so,
Okay.
yeah. It started, I think, with the mile markers, the stone signs there along Post
Oh,
Road.
Yeah.
All the way into Belchertown, so he was looking for all of those. And, the National Register stuff is kind of cool. It's easy to find because you can go online and there'll be a whole list for each town and pictures and descriptions and whatnot. Sometimes not very good, but it's fairly easy to have a checklist of what you want to look at. But you sometimes miss really interesting historical places that aren't on that list.
Right, because if it's not intact enough, or if it's not part of a large grouping.
Did you want to see this?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one of the things, like you said, it's like, how come this isn't on the list? And I said, well, you got to realize that it costs a lot of money to put one together. And, some people aren't interested. Other people, just gets forgotten. Anyways, I should actually take a look at this some other time, but it looks pretty good. Of course, did we see most of this already in bits
Yeah,
and pieces?
we've seen it, and we got a digital version of it,
Okay.
which I think was sent out to everybody. So this is just the hard copy for the file.
Yeah, I just saw the Easthampton stuff, not the other.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
I thought they did a nice job on it.
looks great. You know, considering what we had before,
Yep,
this is fantastic.
yeah.
I'm glad we got it done. I'm kind of surprised that it actually, you know,
Yeah.
took off eventually, but it's good. Yes. So they didn't think this was worth a National Register nomination?
Yeah. I think that the comments were along the lines that it was,
Typical?
there'd been too many interior changes, it was not intact enough, it wasn't part of a larger, like,
Yeah.
historic site. And I don't think the National Register at this point is looking for more of a,
They're not looking for comfort stations?
yeah, they're not looking for, and they're not looking for just like one-off structures.
Right, yeah.
They want districts, they want, you know, entire, you know, much bigger things to look at. So I think they're probably full up on the one-off thing. So there would have to be something that was particularly special about this one in order for
Yeah.
them to consider
No,
it.
that's- Oh, well.
Like Cary Grant,
That's okay.
use the men's room over
I mean,
here.
it's nice that we got that done.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along
All
here.
right.
Metal detecting on town property. What does everybody think of that?
I
I was- I-
think
I-
there had to be more context from you to give an opinion.
Actually, not really. I got an email from the mayor's office. Somebody had asked about metal detecting on city property, and they had no answer. So the mayor asked us to come up with maybe an ordinance or something, or some kind of
In terms
guidelines.
of whether people are allowed to dig things up or just use a metal detector.
There wasn't any more context than what
Okay.
I just gave you, pretty much.
Okay, because I would think, like, why couldn't anyone use a metal detector on city property? But digging up a property is a whole other
Right,
thing.
right. Well, that's one thing. I spoke with John Mason from the park, and, you know, I said, well, this probably is going to affect you more than anybody, because where are they going to go looking for, you know, for stuff? And he says, as far as I'm concerned, as long as they stay off the athletic fields, because that's, you know, anybody digging anything up there, you know, it could be hazardous. You know, dig a little hole, they can patch it up to look good, but if you got loose turf, then some kid could get hurt, you know, or even an adult. But other than that, he was okay with it. But he says, like, typically when he's looking for something like that, he'll find what another town does and just steal their rules and whatnot.
I mean, I
What do you
can't
think?
imagine if someone takes a metal
I was-
detector and digs a hole here, that would be okay.
What's that?
I was surprised that it was, so, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was biking past Lower Mill Pond Park, and there was a guy out there with a metal detector. And I said, you can't do that. And he said, yes, I can. There's no rules against it. And I said, I don't think you can. And as I was having a conversation with him, the park security actually showed up. And they said, oh, it's not a problem. He does this all the time.
Yeah.
It's allowed. Okay.
Yep.
So, and I was surprised. I thought that's crazy to me that we would allow someone to dig up town property. You know, potentially if they found something, and like, and probably it's like, I mean, what they're looking for is like rings or watches or, you know,
Right,
small
stuff that's usually up pretty close to the
Yeah.
top anyways.
But, and, you know, so they dig down maybe a few inches, and then they said you know, the guy says he always puts his divots back in, and it's not a problem. So, I mean, I sort of at that point, I was like, okay, well, if that's what the city, the Parks and Rec allow it, then
Yeah.
why do they get involved?
Well, now we've been asked to get involved.
Right. And I think that there's a difference between, you know, there's no rumors of like buried treasure on town property that like you have all these, you know, gold
Right, yeah.
seekers like just digging up things and tearing the place apart. It doesn't seem to be a nuisance. It doesn't seem to be something we're the
Right.
city's
The,
using its archaeological heritage, daily field, most of these parks and rec facilities are, at least where there's fields, they've been turned over so many times, like there's nothing
Right.
historic within the top.
I mean, most of where you would see metal detecting in the past was after the fireworks. People would be at Galbraith or Daly Field, looking for change and, rings and whatnot.
Yeah.
Other than that, that doesn't seem to come up. I know some people that do it as a hobby, and, I spoke to one guy, and he goes, when I go to a place, if I leave it like I found it. If I dig something up, that the holes are patched to where you wouldn't know that I dug anything up. So, well, that's all well and good, but typically, they think they mostly do it on private property where we would have no control. I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into it. I mean, I did, national parks do not allow it except on beaches for the most part. So beaches, it's okay, but you still have to fix your holes and whatnot. But other, like national park areas, it's totally off limits. If you do find something that's historically significant, obviously it belongs to the city
Or of significant value.
was that?
Or of significant value.
Right, yeah. So that, the only thing I found, and I have no idea what happened to the copy of it because last month it was a mess, but I did have a copy from, not sure what town it was, but they had basically a one-page application form if you wanted to, treasure hunt on the city property, you fill out the form, and there was a few rules to go along with it. It was fairly simple. It seemed like it would be.
That seems reasonable.
It's kind of like probably a liability thing too, So you're on your own.
I would think that, if it's something like a fishing license or hunting license, where once a year you have to come in, get registered with the city, sign that you're, I don't know, and like limiting the depth of which someone can dig to like 6 or 8 inches, like what are you gonna find within the top 6 to 8 inches? Maybe you'll find some buttons,
And would that, would that apply to like underwater too? Like,
I would imagine.
Using that stuff underwater, can you?
Yeah, you can. Some of them are
Waterproof.
you're able to use them, within like a foot or so. But it's kind of a legitimate question. Because if you were on the shoreline and you're digging, you dig a hole and then somebody goes in there, breaks their ankle because you dug a hole. Like I said, I don't know enough about it at this point.
Yeah.
Like I said, you only have the National Park Service. There's basically most of the stuff that's online is metal detecting etiquette.
was that not under like the police's discretion or whatever too? I mean, where is it like? Some people might see it as vandalism if they're not doing it, leaving it as they found it. So I just think it's a little funny that they'd come to the historical commission as opposed to.
Well, I don't know why we came up with probably.
Well, I think people think that metal detector people using metal detectors are looking for historic resources,
artifacts and whatnot.
And I would imagine that actually most people are looking for loose change, watches, rings, things that like. And so they're going to parks and playgrounds after events, like you said, to like see if they can find something. And maybe they're altruistic and they're just doing it to return lost property to, they just like the hunt. Sure. Or maybe they're looking to make a few bucks.
Well, the couple of people that I know that are into metal detecting, don't seem to care about exactly what they find. It's more like just the fact that it's fun to find stuff. You know, and it's like,
Sure.
he goes, you know, if it's one guy dying, says, I'll go, you know, like somebody's property, I'll go search their yard. If I find something, I give it to them. He says, I don't, you know, I don't keep it. It's like, you know, it's their property. It's, you know, so, but I ask him if I can go do it. You know, he usually brings his little nephew with him, and they do somebody's yard, and, you know, it's like, okay, here you go. The homeowner gets whatever he finds.
We found a sprinkler head.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
God.
sometimes you can find good old coins.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know, some older
Yeah.
coins that are worth more, like old buffalo head, whatever. You
But
can find valuable coins.
That's actually a good point, the sprinkler thing. I mean, having just a simple application process would, I mean,
Well-
you know, with gas lines and all the things that go underground,
Sure.
that there should be a depth control and perhaps, yeah, an application process, just so that people are reminded of things to be careful about.
As I was thinking about it,
Yeah.
you know, when it first came up, it's like, I guess one of the first things we would need is a map of where the town properties are, number one. And then you can say like, okay, well, we got athletic fields, you know, Park and Rec say, nothing on, you know, nothing on the fields where the kids play. Park area, like, you know, picnic areas and whatnot, okay, that's fine. But, you know, the thing is, filling out a form and saying that you're going to be there, at least you give notice to, you know, the park people that, okay, there's somebody's going to be looking around and whatnot, so.
I mean, I would imagine that it's more of a Parks and Rec.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, you know.
I mean, unless it's, I mean, because the two big landowners, DPW and Parks. And obviously, like, on any DPW facility that's not already, if it's not open to the public, then
Right.
it's not open to the public and they shouldn't be there metal detecting. They're gonna want them on the well fields trying to find,
Well, they're going to find a lot of metal there.
right, I mean, like,
But can someone come over here and dig, you know, 2-foot holes in the grass over here?
I mean, presumably it's allowed,
Well, it's not forbidden,
right?
you know, that's the thing, and there's no mechanism in place to say, no, you can't.
But I know, like, in this front lawn here, we have buried electric and buried gas
Yep.
and probably water pipes. The water pipe, and you'd have to go pretty deep to get to the water pipes. You have to go at least 4 feet, but the gas lines and the electric lines
A
could be in
couple
conduit.
feet, yeah.
They might only be a foot down, 2 feet down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, if someone's using a shovel, they're not gonna break through a gas line with a shovel unless they're trying really hard.
Well, it is plastic nowadays, so you never know. You're not going to do it with a spade, obviously, you know,
Right,
with
that's
like a little, you know, little
I
hand
think
spade.
that's what they're using.
Yeah, that's what they, most of the time when you pinpoint something. Like I said, I would think, number one, you know, where, when, and then basically what's the mechanism that you want, you know, if you want to give somebody permission, they have to make an application, and then you say, okay, you're good to go, here's a card or whatever, you know, says you're, or the copy of the application
Right,
stamped, you know,
approved,
by
exactly.
the
Bring it
city
with you when
clerk.
you're digging, yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, with basically whatever little rules you come up with and the places where you can't go listed on there. And, you know, yeah, I mean, city clerk or Parks and Rec office, right? Of course, how many people would know to ask? That's the other thing, you know, people just go and do it.
And that's what people have been doing.
Yeah, I'm sure. And, you know, that's, when I was talking to John, he says he doesn't see a lot of them. But then again, you might not, you know, down there when it's quiet, nobody's around, beep, 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 okay. Anyways, that fell on our plate, so, I mean, I figured to take a little stab at it. Maybe we can invite John down to a meeting sometime and, you know, put together, you know, between the two departments and or this meeting, you know, this and him. That's all I have to say at this point about it.
So, no action on it?
I haven't really done too much. I mean, like I said, I think probably keep it going. I got to find my notes that I took before, and I said I came up today, so I called John and asked him what his thoughts were on it. He said, how come you got stuck with it? I said, I don't know. They probably figured we weren't doing anything.
But Mayor asked you to take a look at it, or to propose some regulations, or?
Yes, evidently somebody asked, permission, and they didn't have an answer, so they said, well, the Historical Commission should probably draft an ordinance or something, or some, rules. So I don't think it needs to be an ordinance, but
It would have to be an ordinance.
it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And any ordinance needs to go through ordinance subcommittee. So I guess I'm sort of wondering is like, was the mayor asking for the Historical Commission to come up with a proposal and bring it back to her or the city council, or was she sort of asking for, what do you think about this? Let me know your thoughts, and if it's worthwhile, then we'll ask the ordinance subcommittee or Parks and Rec to actually develop the ordinance.
Well, let me see. Sure that's what it came from. It was a while. I totally forgot about it after I got it. I did some asking around right away, and then here we go. Yeah, it was a while. It was March. Please take a look at the resident question below, including the response from the mayor and the city. So basically, the guy said the city, well, it's from the lawyer. He basically said some sort of ordinance, Mark Tanner. Some sort of ordinance similar to state law passed if you wanted to formalize policy, otherwise it gives sort of written license which allows them to act. That's evidently the thing. The city would own what he finds, blah, blah, blah. And let's refer the Historical Commission for a policy. So here we are.
Okay. And so there is a state law that Mark Tanner referenced that governs this already?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
I did look a little bit. I didn't, look really hard, but I did not see anything. I'm looking for the resident's question. Yeah, I think the way it came up was, what if they find some items of historical interest? I mean, Barbara said, I've never heard anyone asking permission to do metal detecting before. I mean, like Mount Tom, it's not allowed unless you get permission from the director or whoever's in charge up there. You have to get written permission from them, and they're probably not very willing to give it out just because they're looking at potential damage. Anything,
And we have a number of archaeological sites that are, we're not supposed to know where they are for those reasons.
Yeah.
So like, part of the like canal process, there's a number of like archaeological, like, there's like the places that we know of, and then there's the places that we don't know of where there might be archaeological investigation, and the state is, if you need to get into those, they don't give out that information very readily.
What if you stumble onto them?
If you stumble onto it, that's different, but, for reason, if people knew where all of the like important archaeological, because not all the archaeological sites are actually dug up, so that they're just marked for some future investigation later.
Right, yeah.
And so the state highly, or not highly classified, but they're very privileged.
Kind of like Native American burial grounds. You're not going to
That's
say
what I'm
they're
talking about.
here, here, and here.
Right.
Because people
Unfortunately,
don't
they
disturb
have a
it.
lot of metal, so you're not going to find them.
No, but in terms of archaeological.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like I said, for the most part, the people that I know that are metal detectors are fairly conservative about it, and they go through all the proper channels. The guy that was interested in it wanted to do the property off between Hendrick and Holyoke.
Right.
Big field there, and, you know, was kind of looking for permission or whatever, so. But, I mean, as much as I looked, which was, you know, a couple hours worth of time, I really didn't find a lot. And, you know, it's just, maybe I'm not looking in the right place. But, you know, do like metal detecting ordinances. I think, like I said, one application form came up from somewhere.
And I think mostly cities or towns just don't allow it.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I think that's generally the like, nope, not allowed.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's the simplest way around it, you know.
Yep. and then it deals with all of the archaeological sites, it deals with what happens if you find something,
Yep.
because it wasn't allowed to begin with.
The other part of the problem, though, when you're saying, you know, absolutely no, the guy says, screw it, I'm going to go do it, nobody's going to, you know, say anything anyways. Then, you know, like you said, the security from the park goes over and goes, yeah, oh yeah, that guy's all, you know, that's fine.
Right.
So, you know, it's like,
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like there is,
at least if you
Yeah.
codify it where, you know, okay, that guy's out there doing that, now you go like, oh, listen, this guy's a pain in the butt, we got to do something with him. So, get him out of there that way. If you don't have anything, can you do? Nothing, right? So, anyways, what you were going to say?
no, I was just saying, I guess that if it's codified, it doesn't seem like there's interest to prohibit it, and if they're looking for a policy versus an ordinance, then
Yeah.
a policy is something that just gets filed away and nobody ever sees. And it's-
I mean, would policy be more like, well, here's an application you can fill out so we know who you are, and, you know, these are our rules.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any,
Doesn't really have any teeth, but,
yeah, so, but if it's an ordinance, then it has, there's like you have to get a $5 license from the city clerk before you
yeah,
do this on city property.
moneymaker.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, well, like I said, I think we should probably talk about it more when we get the full committee together. Maybe, you know, see if I can do a little more digging, find something. All right. We haven't heard anything about the town clock. Okay. School use, school reuse. Nothing?
I know that they selected the developer that who's going to redevelop all three buildings.
Yep.
I don't know where that's at with like purchase and sale and all the rest of that.
All right. Sign program, we haven't moved on it any more than we had since the last time we saw you guys. Number 11, we anticipated everything this month. Canal, we got the update. And we already scheduled the next meeting. So all we need to do, that was July 5th at 6:30, right? All we need to do is have a motion to adjourn.
I motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good, thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.